That's right. Keep showing up. Even when you don't feel like it, keep showing up. Even when you're ill or sick, keep showing up. Even when you don't even feel like showing up for work, keep showing up. See, when you show up, you're showing up for yourself. And the reason why that's so important is because as you continue to show up for yourself, you continue to develop and do things that you have no desire to do. And see, since you have no desire to do them, you get a lot better because you're able to function when you don't want to. You see, life is going to show you when you show up, it's going to reward you when you least expect it. See, when you expect things, the way you show up is going to be completely different from how you when you don't expect things. You see, life shows you when you show up, you're not only showing up for yourself, but you're showing up for others that's willing to listen to you. You're showing up to others that's willing to wait for you. You're showing up for others to show that it's possible when you show up for yourself. You see, when you show up for yourself, you have to know that you're doing it for you first. And see, this video is so incredible because if this is your first time here, welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge, where we're talking about personal development, marketing, and podcasting tips. Today, we're speaking about marketing tips and marketing information and how you can start showing up for yourself and reap the rewards that will come to you later on in life. They're not going to come to you here right now. They're going to come to you when you least expect it after you show up for a long period amount of time. What's going on, everybody? My name is Terrell Humphrey. Welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and comment below because today we're talking about a topic on why showing up is so important, why it's so valuable, why it's so needed. Because in order to show up for yourself, you have to know what you're showing up for. You see, life is going to show you that when you show up, you get rewarded. And when you don't show up, you don't get rewards. And the reason why this is so important, the reason why this topic is so needed, excuse me, is because it shows whether you're on the right path or you're on the wrong path or you're on a path that you're not sure of. When you're showing up, you're able to learn quickly. You're able to grow and develop quickly because you're growing and developing in a way that's going to help you be better over time within yourself. You see, life is going to show you why you're getting better. As you're getting better, you're proving to yourself that you can do it just a little bit more. Let me go ahead and get my marker. Write it on the board. The title is Keep Showing Up. And when you show up, you have to know that you have to show up for yourself first. So keep showing up. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. I remember a couple years ago when I got sick. And when I got sick, I didn't want to get sick, so I tried to stop me from getting sick, so I tried to start taking medicines, taking vitamin D, vitamin orange juice, or some kind of medicine that would help me not be sick. And me trying to stop my illness got worse because it made me be even more tired, even more ill, because I was trying to stop it so quickly. And even though I tried to stop the sickness that was in me, it caused me to take a nap, to rest a little bit. But prior to me getting ill and sick, I still was showing up prior to me seeing the signs that I was going to be sick. You see, life is going to show you signs, and it's up to you to see the signs before it's too late. Oftentimes in life, it becomes too late to catch it because once it's late, now you have to identify why it's late. You see, showing up, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of courage and belief to say, I'm going to show up because I know I have to do something here. I'm going to show up even though I feel ill, even though I don't feel like it, even though I don't feel good, I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to find a way to show up for myself. You see, when you show up for yourself first, you're showing others that they can do it as well. See, when I start showing up for myself with creating different podcast episodes, I'm showing other entrepreneurs that they can create a podcast as well. You see, oftentimes it's the matter of knowing how to show up that stops a lot of people from showing up. Why? Because how do you show up when you don't feel like it? How do you show up when you're late? How do you show up when you have no clue of what you're showing up for? See, the first thing that comes to mind is that when you're showing up for yourself. See, that's the first point I want to hit on is that when you keep showing up, you have to keep showing up for yourself first. Show up for self. First one, show up for self. See, to be aware of what you're doing and how you're going about doing it, you have to look at the person in the mirror, man or woman. Look at the person in the mirror and say, I'm doing it for you first before I do it for others. Because if I do it for others, I'm putting myself last. You see, it took me some time to learn that in order for me to bring value to others, to bring some type of knowledge to others, to bring some type of experience to others, I have to be willing to do it for myself first before I do it for others. Because if I can do it for myself, I can say, hey, I done it for me, and this is how you can do it, and this is why you're able to do it, because I was the one that went through it. You see, life is going to show you that if you get things done when you don't feel like doing things, life is going to reward you in a way that you least expect it. Because it's going to show that if you consistently show up, if you consistently improve, if you consistently demonstrate who you're becoming, the reward is going to show you that you're becoming somebody greater. Why? Because you have to do it for yourself first. You have to do it for yourself first. Who's on a plane? I know everybody uses analogy, but I'm going to use it because I ain't used it yet. So we was on a plane. I was watching the training video, and as the training video came about and it was playing, it was showing that if the plane happened to go down, do not take care of others first before you take care of yourself. Because if you take care of yourself, you can do more harm than to help others when you don't help yourself. And so as I'm watching this video, I'm just really like, they really put this together. And how they showed it, it was a parent and a kid. The kid was probably 6 or 7 years old. So the parent, the child is relying on the parent. But in order for the parent to show up for the kid, the parent has to show up for themselves first. And so in the plain description, I know everybody uses it, but it's the mere fact that if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't show up for yourself, if you don't prove to yourself, how can you prove to anybody else that they can do it as well? You see, it took me some time to learn that life is going to show you lessons. Life is going to give you opportunities. Life is going to open doors. And yet when the doors are not open, that means you haven't showed up for yourself. That means you stop showing up when the times get tough, when the moments get difficult, when the challenges appear. How do you face the unknown when the unknown is so overwhelming? How do you push through when you don't feel like it, even though when you don't feel like it's the greatest lesson to come? I remember working at this place called Trampoline Park, and what this is, it's a park full of trampolines. And it's good to work there. It was phenomenal work there. And the trampoline park, it had a lot of different trampolines. It got a area where you can dive in. It has a basketball goal. You know, it's a good kid-oriented place. And so when I was working there, I wasn't having fun because I was working. I remember when I was tired. I remember one day I came into work and I had to watch the trampolines, make sure nobody got injured. As I was watching the trampolines and I'm watching the kids having fun, the parents having fun, I'm just there not having fun. I'm there because I showed up, but even though I'm showing up, don't feel like being there, I still have to be there. See, oftentimes you still have to be there for yourself to recognize that you have to show up for yourself. You see, as I'm there watching everybody else, I have to make sure that I'm there for myself. And I have to be careful for myself, because even though everybody's not paying attention, even though everybody's running around, even though everybody having fun, I want to have fun, but I couldn't because I was working. See, oftentimes in life, when you show up for yourself, you have to work on yourself. You see, life is going to show you when you work on yourself, now you're showing up for yourself. You see, the reason why that matters is the reason why that's so important is because you have to, somebody, Brave said, give yourself permission to live. Give yourself permission to live. And see, when you're showing up, you're giving yourself permission. I like how she just said that, give yourself permission to live. And see, oftentimes when you're showing up, you're giving yourself permission to live. Why is that so important? Because when you do it for yourself first, when people see that you're showing up for you, for the person that's in the mirror, the person that's in the mirror is willing to handle the challenges that's going to come, that's willing to handle the adversity that they will face. See, I can't predict the future. I can't predict what I will go into or experience, but what I can do is predict today. The actions that I take today, how I show up matters, because it matters more because I'm doing it for myself. as I'm doing it for myself, now I'm able to grow and develop in a way that's going to help me live. You see, when you show up, you have to know that you're showing up for a reason. And see, when you show up for yourself, show up for self. I forgot to put for yourself. Hold on. I forgot to put for yourself. Show up for self. Hold on, I'm gonna put for yourself. Hold on. For yourself. Yourself. There we go. For yourself. And it's challenging. It's challenging. See, the trampoline park is supposed to be fun. Yet it's not fun if you're not playing and having fun. And so it took me a while to recognize that I had to show up even when I didn't feel like showing up. And so as I'm working, as I'm watching all the people having fun, I'm in my mind bored to death because I have to stand on a block, I have to stand on a square and just walk around, just look at everybody having fun. Make sure nobody's hurting themselves. Occasionally, I would jump off the box and get on the trampoline just to, wake my body just a little bit up. Wake my body up just a little bit. And it taught me that you can move around. You can move around in a position, and as a position is steady, the steadiness doesn't stop you from exploring yourself. You see, the reason why that's so important, when you show up for yourself, you start to see things that you don't really pay attention to. You see, I started to learn how to have fun when I was working on a shift. I wasn't jumping as much, but occasionally I jump down just a little bit, just to get on the trampoline, just to see if it's stable enough. It was fun because I made it fun. Yet it was challenging because I had to make it fun. You see, life, you have to make the challenge fun because the challenge is going to show you that you're doing the right thing. When you show up for yourself, when you show up for you, when you show up for the person that's in the mirror, the person that's in the mirror is developing because you're growing into someone new. You're growing to someone developed. You're growing into somebody that's showing up for themselves. You see, the reason why that's so important, because if you don't find the fun in the challenge is going to stop you from showing up, because now you don't feel like showing up when times get tough, when times get difficult, when times get challenging. You see, I remember I got in a car wreck back in 2022 before I left Southern California. And when I got in this car wreck, 2 weeks prior to that, I thought about me getting in the car wreck. I manifest me getting into a car wreck. And at the time, I didn't really understand the power of manifestation. Definition of manifestation is when you think about something and it comes to existence. And like I can think about me writing on the board, and then a couple minutes later I'm going right on the board because I manifested. And so 2 weeks prior to me getting in a car accident, I'm just picturing like, what if I get in a car accident? What if what if I just wreck my car and will I be okay? And ironically enough, I was in traffic, and if you've never been to Southern California traffic is crazy. I believe I was leaving from Los Angeles going back to Southern California, Southern California. As I'm going back to it, there's mean traffic. There's a lot of traffic going on. And at the time, I had my phone, but my phone fell while I'm in traffic. And no, I was on my phone. I was on my phone at the time. And you know how you try to be on your phone and look up, be on your phone, look up, be on your phone, look up? I was trying to pick a song, but the song wasn't playing because I was trying to find it. And then when I looked up, it was too late. And then I turned my wheel right, then I turned my wheel left, and so I hit the back person left side. Back person right side, hit the back person right side, my left side, and I got hit from behind. Mind you, there's traffic. There's people coming behind me. There's traffic. Like the traffic is moving. There's a lot of cars. So I hit somebody in the front. Somebody hit me from behind. And I'm like, oh, let me pull over to the side. See, when I pulled over to the side, it was like, it happened so quickly, I didn't know what to do. So I felt my body, make sure I wouldn't bleed. I looked at my hand. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. Felt my head. I said, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, I'm okay. Let me try to get out this car. I tried to get out the car. I couldn't open it, so I had to use a little bit of strength to open it. So I had to push my body on the car, and as the door opened, I was able to get out the car. You see, when you show up, you have to be ready for the unexpected, because I wasn't expecting for me to get in a car accident. And so when I was opening the door, checking my body, make sure I'm good, I can stand up, I can walk, I'm breathing, I'm okay. And then I went to go to the other cars, the one that I hit and the car that hit me from behind. I went to go check like, Are y'all okay? Are y'all okay? I'm okay. Are y'all okay? And so at the time when I showed up not knowing that something bad would happen. See, life is going to give you opportunities, up to you to seize the opportunity, whether it's good and or bad. You make the situation better by how you handle it. And so when I got out the car, I looked at my car, I examined the car, I said, ooh, my left side front tire was busted. It was like, it was destroyed. It got hit and was destroyed. It was a rim. It wasn't even a tire no more. It was a rim. And so when I looked at the car, okay, the front looked good. The front maybe can be fixed. Okay, I'm looking at it. And see, as I'm looking at it, I'm still okay. Then I go to the back. Hold on, check this out. I go to the back where the car hit me from behind. I got hit, and my bumper of my trunk, it was like pushed in. So it wasn't flat. It was like pushed in, right? Because I got hit. The car hit me from behind. And see, in life, when you show up, you have to expect the unexpected, because the expected will happen when you least expect it. You see, I wasn't expecting to get hit for the car to hit me from behind, but he hit me from behind because I stopped in the middle of traffic. In the middle of a freeway when a lot of cars is moving, when a lot of cars is going slow. And so when you show up, you have to know that everything is not going to go your way. When you show up for yourself, everything won't go as planned. When you show up, something will happen unexpectedly, because you have to know that you're showing up for yourself. And see, when you show up for yourself, you have to be ready for the lessons that come to that. Lesson number 1, stop driving in traffic. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Stop texting on your phone in traffic. Stop being on your phone in traffic, because you never know when you need to come to a halt, when you need to come to a stop so quickly. You never want to not pay attention to the road, especially when you're in traffic, because if you're not paying attention, you can get in an accident, right? And so at the time, my vehicle was towed. I couldn't even drive my vehicle home. And so that my vehicle was towed. The one that was behind me, his vehicle was towed. But he had like a pickup truck. Excuse me, he had a pickup truck. So his truck totaled. And his truck was leaking coolant, was leaking antifreeze. Antifreeze is like the car that you put, the stuff that you put in your car for like your AC to be cold. And so the person that's in the front, they just drove off. They was able to drive. Their car wasn't as damaged, but it was damaged just a little bit. But it wasn't damaged like that. But they drove off. So I'm like, shoot. Okay, I guess, you know what I mean? I guess everybody's okay. And here's the crazy part about it. Typically, when you get in a car accident, you're supposed to call the police and report the accident, right? And so when you get in an accident, report it to police officers, they're supposed to come check out the scene, make sure everyone's okay. So I called them. I was like, hey, I just got in an accident. I'm here at the place. I forgot what the exit was, but I could see the exit was like right in front of me. And so I called them. I was like, hey, I just got in an accident on this street, and we're on a freeway. Like, what do I need to do, or what do I need to say for the police officers to come check out the scene? They asked me, was anybody hurt and or injured? I said, nah, everybody's good. Everybody car ain't good, but everybody's good. They was like, okay, well, unfortunately, at this time, because maybe 5 or 6 in the afternoon, in the evening, at this time, we don't send out police officers because we just don't send them out. I said, what you mean? They said, yeah, during this time, we don't send them out. I said, so what we supposed to do? What we supposed to do? You see, when you show up for yourself, you have to figure it out on the spot. So I'm asking her, so what are we supposed to do? We just got in an accident, like, what's the proper procedure? Oh, sorry, we're not going to send nobody out there. Like, we just don't send nobody out there during this time. Okay, well, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, okay. So now I have to figure out on the spot. I have to show up for myself on the spot. What do I need to do to learn what we need to do? And so I go ask them. I'm like, did y'all try to call the police? They was like, yeah, but they said they did not come in. I said, yeah, they told me the same thing. I thought maybe that was playing. Maybe that was lying to me and didn't want to come for me. But they told you the same thing, so apparently I'm not tripping. See, when you show up, It's not going to go how you expect it to go. It's going to go how it need to go. Right? See, when you show up for yourself, it needed to go a certain way will teach you a lesson that will help you prepare for the unexpected. See, adversity show up in different ways, in different forms, in different situations. And that's just showing up how you handling what you do not know. How you preparing the things that you do not expect? How do you show up when you show up, you not knowing what the outcome would be? You see, when I was playing football back in high school, I was kind of good, you know what I mean? I was kind of good. I was kind of, I played good. You know what I mean? And every game, no one can predict the outcome. Only the players that's on the field that's playing the game can show up and play. So if the players not playing good, if a team not playing good and the other team is playing great, the team that's playing great will probably win. You see, at the time when you show up, you have to know that you can't predict the future and what the outcome will be. Because you can only show up and do the work and play the game like the game is supposed to be played. See, when you play life in the way that life is going to teach you, life will show you that you can handle adversity when you show up for yourself. See, as you're showing up, you're learning. As you're showing up, you're developing. As you're showing up, you're learning more about yourself. Because as you're learning more about yourself, you're willing to see the information that can only come to you when it's unexpected. See, if I was searching for me to get in a car accident, since I was already thinking about it, but I was taking proper measurements for it, to learn about it, to know what to do next. See, in life, when you show up, you have to be willing to learn on the fly, to learn on the go, to learn as you are developing. Because as you're developing your knowledge, the knowledge that you're developing is coming from your experience. Why? Because you have to think outside the box and figure out how to make it work. How to make this work, make this bad situation to a good situation that will potentially put you in a better situation. I mean, when I was younger, my mama was a single parent. She raised 3 boys by herself. And at the time, she used to always say, son, think outside the box. Son, it's common sense. Every time I did something wrong or asked a random question or said something incorrectly, son, it's common sense. Son, think outside the box. You see, during that time, I'm thinking my mama just being mean, which she could be mean. And not knowing, she was preparing me how to think critical. Thinking critical is thinking outside the box when the box is so filled. When the answer is not in front of you, how do you discover the information that will help you? You see, as I got older, and she said that, because when I ask the question that I don't know or don't fully understand, she'll still say, son, it's common sense. And I'm like, mama, it ain't common sense if I've never heard it before, if I've never learned it before. I don't just go around learning what you learn. I'm just be learning different things. And I learned when I show up for myself, I'm not afraid to ask questions. In life, you can't be afraid to ask questions to figure out how to think outside the box. Critical thinking is thinking outside the box when the answers are not in front of you. There's a game called Jenga. And there's a game that's so good because it makes you think about what you're doing. So the game Jenga, like, you have to stack the blocks on top of one another. And as you're stacking the blocks on top of one another, once you get to the top and there's all the blocks up there, now you push out the blocks and replace them and put them on top. So the more you take out the blocks and put them on top, the harder the decisions are becoming, because you have to make a decision that won't tilt the whole block over. So as you're getting a piece of the block and putting it on top, you have to look and see which one would be good and to keep it steady. And as the stand is steady, you have to know your next move counts. Your next move matters. When you show up for yourself, your next move matters rather than the last move. See, you can plan ahead, but planning ahead can only do so much. And see, as you're taking the block and moving and putting it on top, as you're taking another block, putting it on top, now it gets challenging because you have to be careful with how you take out the block to replace it on top. You see, when you show up, you have to replace the knowledge that you have by thinking outside the box to say that I can take a piece and really develop this over time. You see, when you show up for yourself, as you playing the game Jenga, you have to think outside the box to not tilt the game over. You see, when we think too fast, when we think so critical, when we play without thinking, our actions show because the game is over now. Because once we take a block out and remove it, as we're removing the block, the game of Jenga is now over because the tower is going to fall. You see, in life, sometimes you need to fall to know that you can pick yourself back up and just start over. See, the reason why that's so important, because you can make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to know everything. And when you don't know everything, you start to know something because you're able to pick yourself back up and identify the place that you were last at. You see, when you show up for yourself, you're not afraid to mess up. When you show up for yourself, you're not afraid to learn. When you show up for yourself, you're not afraid to start over. You see, when you start over from the beginning, now you can take your time, because the last move that you made, you can make a different move. Everything ain't coming because common sense has to be taught. When you think critical, you're thinking outside the box because the answer's not in front of you. How do you know that it will work when you haven't tried it, if it can work? And so when the person, when we spoke with the police and we still like, hey, we got in a car accident, like, what do we do? Like, what are the next steps? In short, they say, figure it out, because we ain't coming. And see, since we ain't coming, y'all got to figure it out, because y'all were the one that got into the accident. You see, in life, you have to be the one to get into the accident to know that you can get out of the accident when you show up for yourself. Life is going to show you that you can do it. Life is going to prove to you that you can do it. And as life is showing you that you can do it, you have to believe, as you're showing up for yourself, you're really developing a skill that's going to help you think outside the box. You see, when you think outside the box, now you're showing up in a way that you're not familiar with. Now it becomes scary because you don't know how to handle the way that you're thinking, the way that you're evolving, the way that you're growing. You see, in life, when you show up for yourself, you start to develop in a way that you wasn't expecting. You see, when I start showing up and creating different podcast episodes, I was showing up in the way because I was becoming a better communicator. I was showing up in the way because I was having more confidence. I was creating different podcast episodes because I was learning how to share my story. You see, podcasting is a lot of talking. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of movement. But when you move and you show up for yourself, you take it one step at a time. And see, when you take it one step at a time, now you're developing for yourself. You see, the reason why I start with yourself, because you are the one that can control what happens when you don't expect what to happen. Life is magical. Life is special. Life is meaningful. And when you show up for yourself, you start to discover the meaning of your life. You see, the reason why this is so important is because we all have a reasoning to do things, and once we discover the reason, because we have to do it for ourselves first, we do it for ourselves first, it's gonna be a little challenging, it's gonna be a little overwhelming, it's gonna be impossible to achieve at first. But when you continue to show up, you're building something that will be in you forever, that will grow and evolve with you forever. If it was easy, check this out. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was easy, everyone would be showing up for themselves. If it were easy, life wouldn't throw you no challenges, no curveballs. And see, life is so magical because there's many lessons that we go through, that we experience, that help us become who we would like to be, who we think we can be. You see, when you think ahead, when you think outside the box, when you think critically, now you're using your brain in a way because you're gaining experience that will help you in life. See, as it's helping you in life, you have to know that it's preparing you for life. And see, as it's preparing you for life, it shows, it shows that you are on the right path. And the reason why that's so important, I want to look up the word show up. I want to look up the definition of show up, because it matters. It matters when you show up for yourself. Show up definition, let's see. It says show up, be, what's that say? Conspicuous or clearly visible. Arrive or turn up for appointment or gathering. Nope. Expose someone to something bad. No. Arrive, turn up. Embarrass. Nope. Where's the synonyms? Make something or something Okay, clearly visible is good. Clearly visible is good. And see, it's good because you have to be willing to stand up for yourself. You have to be willing to show up for yourself. Not necessarily stand up, but you have to know that you're showing up when you don't know what you're doing. You can only improve when you improve for yourself. You can only show up when you just be there. Just be present. I remember I was talking to my dog, Tim Campbell, and as I was speaking to him, he was like, man, Terrell, you just don't stop. You just don't stop showing up. He said, man, you just don't stop. And the reason why you just don't stop, like, man, you're chasing something. You're not necessarily chasing something. You want to accomplish something. You see, when you show up for yourself, you have to know that you want to accomplish something for yourself. You see, the next point I want to hit on is that when you show up for yourself, you have to be willing to go through adversity. When you show up for yourself, you have to go through adversity. Through adversity, SITY. When you show up, you have to go through adversity because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because, one, you don't know what you're doing. When you show up, it's going to be challenging because, two, you have no knowledge of how you're supposed to do it. You see, the challenge is saying, even though I don't know, even though I'm not sure, even though I'm second guessing my decision, the decision that you're making will make you a lot better. See, when you show up, you have to know you're showing up for yourself. Showing up for yourself is challenging. Showing up for yourself is overwhelming. But how do you do it on a consistent basis? You have to go through adversity. You have to put yourself through challenge. You have to accept the challenge when you know that you're showing up for yourself. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, and when I was in the Marine Corps, it was a challenge called the obstacle course. So this course was it was challenging because there was many obstacles that we had to face. I remember when we had to climb up on a tower. That joker was high. I don't know how high it was, but it was high. And so when you get to the tower, you have to climb over and go to the other side and just go down. And it was so high, I got a little bit nervous. I got to hold on to the bar just a little bit tight. You see, the obstacle is going to show you that you can do it, but you just have to accept the challenge. I remember when doing that same challenge, there was another obstacle, another challenge where you have to rappel. It's like going off the wall to get to the ground. And for some reason, all these obstacles was high. Well, majority of the obstacles was high. And as they're high, you have to accept the challenge to jump. Or you're just gonna be wasting everybody's time. So it wasn't like that when we got there we can change our mind. Like we had to do it. We got taught how to do it, and we had to do it. And so as I'm hanging onto the rope, I'm looking down. I said, "Ooh, that's kind of far." I said, "Ooh, I ain't never done this before." I said, "Ooh, that's scary." And so the instructor was telling me, "Hump, you gotta go." But I'm trying to go, but my body ain't letting me move. I'm trying to go, but my body is stuck. I'm trying to move, but my mind won't let me drop. You see, when you when you show up, you have to push yourself to accept the challenge because adversity will stop you. Adversity will make you want to change your mind. Adversity will make you second guess your decisions. Adversity will make you say, "Am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing that I should be doing it? Even though I don't know for sure, why am I doing it?" See, there was many times during the training I was questioning, why did I sign up for this? Why did I raise my hand and say I want to join the Marine Corps, the military? Why did I do that? See, in life, when you ask yourself why, you're on the right path. Because if you're not asking yourself why, you're not going through adversity because you're not accepting the challenge that's coming towards you. You can't run from your faith when you show up and do it for yourself. Because when you show up and do it for yourself, you're no longer running away from the challenge, you're running towards the challenge. You see, when you raise your hand, when you put your hand up and say, "I want to show up for myself," you're saying you're committed to doing whatever is possible. Whatever is needed for you to be accomplished, to you achieve. And the reason why that's so important, the reason why that matters, because when you show up, first you have to show up for yourself. If I can't show up, I can't show up for others. If I'm not showing up for myself, I can't show up with others. Why? Because it's so powerful to show up for yourself. I remember back in my hometown, back in my small town, I had applied to this job. This job that I applied to, it was called McDonald's. And so I had the interview. I put the application in. We had the interview, and I spoke with the manager. As I'm speaking with the manager, like I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good about it. They was like, so when can you start? I said, when can I start? They said you can start tomorrow. I said I'll be here. What time? They said be here at 12 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. So I go home. I got my uniform. I'm so excited. And as I put my uniform on, I had my uniform on. I got the McDonald's logo on. I got the hat in the car. It wasn't on just yet, but I have it. But as I'm pulling into the driveway of McDonald's to park, I park and I just sit there. I park and I sit in the parking lot of McDonald's. And as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about why did I just have this interview to work at this job? Why? Like, what was I thinking? I don't think I want to work here. Should I go out and go work? Should I get up and go work in a job? You see, when I showed up, I wasn't sure why I was showing up, so I didn't show up for myself. And so I was sitting there in the car for maybe 10 minutes, and I'm looking in the mirror. I'm looking in my rearview mirror like, should I get out the car and go work at McDonald's? Should I get out the car and go work? Should I get out the car and go clock in to this job? And as I was sitting there, I showed up for myself because I decided to leave. You see, you have to be willing to make tough decisions on the spot. And as you're making tough decisions on the spot, you have to do it for yourself rather than anybody else. So I didn't call nobody and say, hey man, I'm thinking about working at McDonald's. I had the interview, I had the conversation, like I got the job, but I don't know if I want to keep the job. I didn't call anybody asking for permission because I gave myself permission to leave. You see, when you show up, you have to stop seeking permission from others and go through the adversity for yourself. You see, the adversity was me in my head, like, is this a good opportunity? What can I get from this? At the time, I didn't know I can get anything from it. So I left. See, sometimes you have to close the door before the door gets even open. But you see, sometimes you have to close the door so you can close the door to an opportunity, open the door to a new one. The reason being because you're doing it for yourself. Reason why that's so important, because you have to be the one that sees the vision. When you show up, no one can see what's in your mind. When you show up, no one can see your thoughts. When you show up, no one can see what you're thinking. Nor can they hear what you're thinking, but you're the only one that can think your thoughts. You see, when you go through adversity, you have to stop listening to the outside noise and listen to the noise that's inside your head, because as the noise is inside your head, you're learning how to work with yourself. You learn how to work with your thoughts. You learn how to think outside the box, because as you're thinking outside the box, you're able to look at everything that's going to help you think critical about it. See, McDonald's wasn't a bad establishment. I never worked at a fast food restaurant. So I was hesitant, but I made my mind up for myself. I didn't go out and ask my mama. I didn't ask my two brothers. I didn't ask my twin brother, my older brother. I didn't ask them. But what I did do is I asked myself. You see, when you go through adversity, you have to be willing to talk to yourself. You have to be willing to ask yourself questions, because if you can answer the questions, now you're overcoming adversity. Now, it will be challenging. And just like life, everything that you commit to, everything that you have a thought for, everything that you pursue, it will be challenging, because you have to learn what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the reason behind it. Because it'll show you that you're either on the right path, the wrong path, or the path that has no direction. See, if I was to work at McDonald's, I was on a path that had no direction. Why? Because I just didn't see a path there for me. Nothing's wrong with the establishment, nothing wrong with the organization, but I just didn't want to work there, so I didn't. And so I remember working at the movie theater. I believe this was before I tried to look for the job at McDonald's. As I'm working at the movie theaters, one, there's a lot of movies that came out. There's a lot of different movies that I saw. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was great working there. That was my first job, working at Regal Movie Theater. And as I'm working there, I'm learning how to be a worker. As I'm working there, I'm learning how to communicate with strangers. As I'm working there, I'm learning how to show up. And so as I'm showing up, even when I don't feel like it, when I don't feel like, I still have to do the work. I remember this one time, it was called upsell. It's called this thing called upsell. Like, sign the people up for this Regal program. Like, always ask, always ask, always ask, always ask. Like, hey, do you want to sign up for this Regal program? You get free movies, you get free popcorn, you get free prizes. You have to put yourself out there. And see, at the time, I didn't know I was selling myself, because I just thought I was doing a job. You see, I showed up for myself, and as I showed up for myself, I learned information on the go. I learned knowledge that will help me not only be successful, but prepare me to be able to communicate with strangers. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get up and go to work when you were tired after practice. And after practice, you have to really be committed to showing up for work every single day. You see, when you go to school, when you play sports, when you work, you have to manage your time accordingly. Because if you're not managing your time accordingly, you will not be efficient in nothing that you're doing. You see, when you go through adversity, you have to know that you're challenging yourself. In life, you have to be the one that raise your hand to accept the challenge, so that the challenge can teach you lessons and prepare you for life that you don't even expect. The greatest lesson that we ever go through, the greatest lesson that I've ever experienced, was experiencing the unexpected lesson, because I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what to prepare for. I didn't know what to expect. I just showed up. And I learned as I was doing it. I learned out as I was doing the work. You can only get better when you learn how to show up when you're not better. Why? Because you get better over time. Reason why that's so important, because good comes from practice. Good comes from showing up. You can only get great when you recognize that you're only good. You can only be good when you only recognize that you're not so good. You can only recognize you're not so good when you recognize that you really are bad. You're really not that good. You're really bad. You see, there's levels to discovering the path that you would like to pursue. You see, when you show up for yourself, you're showing up in a way that's going to prepare you for something, for the knowledge, for the experience that you do not expect to have. And as I was working at the movie theater, I remember seasoning the popcorn kernels. And putting into like a machine where the oil like spins around. As it's spinning around, it's like a heater. The popcorn, the kernels get to popping, and now they're popcorn. I thought I made the best popcorn there ever was. I thought my popcorn was so good, I had to have a bag for myself. Not all the time, but sometimes, and sometimes the popcorn was good. You see, when I learned the process, the procedure, it became easier to understand, because I was showing up willing to learn. If you show up willing to learn, the information that's going to be presented to you will help you in the role that you're playing, because the role that you're playing is so important. The role that you're playing is so important to the information that you will learn, because the information that you will learn will prepare you to become great. You see, I thought my popcorn was good. When I was working at the movie theater, I thought my popcorn was good because I seasoned it right. I timed it right. But I was learning how to think outside the box, because one, I didn't use a measurement stick. I used my mind, like, yeah, is that good enough? Yeah, that's good right there. That's good right there. That's enough right there. So as I'm seasoning the popcorn kernels, I'm thinking outside my box, because I'm not using the measurement roll or measurement cup. You see, when you go through adversity is going to show you what you're learning when you least expect it, because it's going to test you of what you know. If you don't know what you think you know, adversity is going to show that you really don't know what you're doing. Why? Because it shows that you're on the right path the wrong path or a path that has no direction to it. See, to get from the path that has no direction to it, we have to be willing to show up for ourselves. See, we have to be willing to raise our hands and say, I want to participate. I want to learn. I want to develop. Because as I'm developing, I want to grow more for myself. You see, the challenge comes when we have no idea what we're doing. It's so overwhelming because how do you know what you're doing? How do you know where to begin? How do you know if what you're doing is the right thing when there's no indicator saying that you're doing the right thing? Excuse me. You see, when you show up for yourself, you're not only discovering that you can do it. What you are discovering is that you're doing it when you don't fully understand what you're doing. And see, when you do it more often, and you continue to do it and continue to show up, you get a lot better over time. You see, when you show up for yourself, when you show up for yourself, you have to go through adversity. See, when you go through adversity, you have to know that you are getting better. You have to know that you are getting challenged. You have to know that you are the one that's accepting the obstacle, because the obstacle is going to make you better. The obstacle is going to make you have confidence. The obstacle is going to show you that you can do it when you put your mind to it. You see, I remember this one time when I was boxing, and we was going against one another. Like, we had our gloves on, we had the headgear on, like we had like protection on, so we going against one another. And as we're going against one another, I'm excited and I'm also scared because these guys are huge. I thought I was huge. Now these guys are huge. So I was a little bit more nervous than I typically would be. But as I as we started to go against one another, I got a bit more confident in the punches that I was throwing. You see, as I was showing up, I was learning how to believe in the punch that I was throwing. Sometimes we have to throw a punch and to believe in the one that we're throwing, because the one that we're throwing counts even more. And so as we're going against one another, this one dude kept faking me, like he kept like clinching at me. I kept dropping my hand, and every time he dropped my hand, he hit me in the same spot. He had hit me in the same spot. Luckily, good thing I played football, because I had a head of steel. My head wasn't budging because I had gear on, and I guess I built the muscle up for it. And so as he was hitting me, he hit me 6 times in the same spot. I just put my hands on. I say, bro, how are you hitting me in the same spot? He said, because you keep putting your hand down every time I flinch at you. I said, man, so how can I keep my hand up? Stop flinching. You see, sometimes the answer is so simple. We're looking for something so difficult, something so explained, that we don't believe that the simple answer is there right in front of us. Keep my hand up. But I didn't know to keep my hand up, because I wasn't showing up for myself. And since I wasn't showing up for myself, I wasn't aware of the lessons that's getting presented. You see, the last point I want to hit on is to identify the lessons. Last point I want to hit on is to identify the lessons. Identify the lessons. The lessons. Identify the lessons. Why do you want to identify the lessons? So you can know if you're doing the right thing. So you can know if you're on the right path. So you can know if you're learning the right information. I mean, when I was in boot camp training, and we had a lot of different classes. We had so many different classes about the Marine Corps history. So we had to learn it. We had to learn it. And towards the end of us being there, we would have to take a test for it. And see, in life, you have to test your knowledge to know if you're doing and learning the correct information. And so we was there learning more about the Marine Corps history. It was knowledge that I didn't take the time to learn until I got to the Marine Corps training. And it taught me that you don't have to know everything. You just have to start with where you're at to learn something. You can't know everything, but you can know more than you think that you know right now. You see, the reason why that's so powerful, because when you identify the lessons going to teach you that you're on the right path, that you're on the right direction, that you have the right goals. Because sometimes in life we question ourselves and the decisions that we're making because we don't see the results so quickly, because we don't understand what lesson is being presented. What information is being discovered? What timing we're discovering? You see, timing is everything because timing shows that you are on the right path, you are on the wrong path, or you're on a path that has no direction. You see, one thing that stops a lot of people is the will to keep going when you don't know that you're showing up for yourself. Keep showing up is saying that you have to show up when you have no idea what you're doing. You have to show up when you have no idea that if what you're doing is going to pay out towards the end. You have to know that what you're doing will pay out towards the end. What's the end? The end is when you keep going and be confident in everything that you're doing. There's no end in greatness. There's no end in development. There's no end in what you're doing because what you're doing will always evolve. There's always something to learn. There's always something to overcome. There's always a challenge to face because you're facing the challenge. You're learning that you can do it a little bit better because it shows that it's possible. You demonstrate that the possibility that you have within yourself, you have to be willing to show up for yourself to discover it for you. Lessons is so difficult to discover because as you're at your lowest, that's when the greatest lesson comes. Well, it's when we at our highest that we forget about the lowest and what was presented. You see, oftentimes there's a balance between high and low because just like the stock market, there's a high and low because the market is always constantly moving up and down, up and down, up and down. I remember when I was in my hometown, my small town, there's a store called Kroger. I don't know if Kroger's all around the world, but there's a store called Kroger, and if we wanted to get some fruit, we'll put it in the scale, and they'll balance itself out and say, this is the amount of pounds that you have. 5 pounds, 5.2 pounds, 6 pounds, and this is the pounds of fruit that you have. And so we was able to weigh the scale. We was able to weigh the product that we wanted to get. And in life, when you weigh yourself, when you weigh your knowledge, when you weigh your experience, the information that you receive is based off of what you have learned. Why? Because it matters what you put in your mind. It matters what you put in your thoughts. It matters what you think about, because as you're thinking about something, you're learning what this thought even is and what it can come to and the reason behind it. You see, when you constantly feed your mind with good things and you're feeding your mind with knowledge, you're feeding your mind with new information, you're feeding your mind with topics that you have never discussed before, you're feeding your mind in a way that you can carry the weight, because the weight that's coming on your mind is in your mind, because now you're able to think outside the box. And when you think outside the box, now you're able to develop more critical skills. You see, life shows you that you can think outside the box. You just have to be willing to think outside the box. Life is so overwhelming because at times, how do you know the information that you're putting in your mind, the information that you're storing, the information that you're learning is helping you prepare for the path that you would like to pursue on. You see, just like a road, life has many turns, many directions, many outcomes, and yet sometimes, many times in life, we end up at the same place regardless of where we go, regardless of the direction that we take. Sometimes we just have to come back to the beginning and discover the direction that we would like to follow. See, your path is being created because your path comes from your lessons. See, your lessons being discovered because your lessons come from your experience. See, your experience is showing you that when you show up, you learn more than you expect because you're showing up for yourself. Life is going to show you that you have to show up for yourself first before you can show up for others, and others follow you. You see, when I start to really dive into this journey, dive into what I was doing, I had no clue, no idea what marketing even was. I had no expectation that I even believed that marketing was something that I was gonna be that I was gonna enjoy. I grew up from a single parent household. My mom ain't talking about no marketing. My mom ain't talking about no marketing. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have them type of conversations. And so I didn't know that I would enjoy marketing because I started learning what marketing actually was. See, when you market yourself, when you put yourself out there, you're showing up in a way because you're showing up to have others see and recognize what you're doing. See, my mom was very brilliant. Is very brilliant, and I have different conversations with her from when I was a child. I remember something. I remember to ask a different question. And because I'm older and I learn more and I'm more experienced and I'm able to understand just a little bit more. And so when I I'm asking her questions when I'm speaking to her. I'm asking her questions because I want to learn something, because I have a better understanding of what we went through. Last question I asked, I said, Betty, I call her Betty, but Mama, let me ask you a question. When we was younger, what was it like to to struggle? What was it like to struggle? What was the hurdles? What was difficult about it? What did you learn? Like, how did you push through when you have to provide for 3 boys and you're a woman? Like, you can do it. I'm not saying it's not possible. You can do it, but there's only so much thing that a woman can teach a boy. And so I'm asking these questions, and I'm asking different topics and different from different experiences, and now I understand more. And what her response was to that question was, how do you how do you provide for all 3 of us? Like, how did we struggle? You know what I mean? She said, I had to make it happen. I had to make it happen. And so when you go through adversity, you have to make it happen, because there's no other choice, because you have to make it happen. And so when she was a single mom taking care of 3 boys, she had to make it happen, because we was kids. We was young. Yet she didn't give up. She didn't stop showing up for herself so she can show up for us. See, not knowing when she showed up for herself, she was showing up for us. And at the time we was young, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know why it mattered. At least I didn't. I didn't know why it mattered. And as I got older, I understand why it mattered. See, the lessons that you will have to identify are the lessons going to prepare you for life. When you identify the lessons going to teach you that you're either on the right path, the wrong path, or the path that has no direction. And I want to look up the definition of lessons, because it matters to know what it means. Definition of lesson is an amount of teaching given at one time, a period of learning or teaching. And the reason why that's so important, the reason why that's so needed, the reason why that matters is because if you're not learning about yourself, if you're not learning about something that you would like to pursue, if you're not learning about new information that you have ideas on and topics that you have an expression on, how do you really develop to identify the lessons that you would like to learn for yourself? You see, I didn't understand that when my mama was a single parent, she was trying to make ends meet. We were surviving, yet we thrived within ourselves because our mama made it happen. You see, when you make it happen, there's no other choice but to make it happen. And when you stop giving yourself different options, when you stop talking yourself out of it, when you don't do it for yourself, you have to know you have to do it for yourself in order to recognize that you're doing it for yourself. Why? Because it starts with you. You see, it starts with you because you are the one that has to commit. You are the one that has to do the work. You are the one that has to understand that the work that you're doing, the work that you're experiencing is the work that's going to prepare you for the journey that you will go on. It won't be easy, yet it won't be possible. Although it's not impossible, you still can do it. Adversity comes in different ways, in different forms, in different settings. But how do you handle adversity when you have no idea that it's coming for you? Even though I was manifesting me getting into a car accident, I got in a car accident, I didn't know what happened when it happened. See, when you show up, you don't expect things to happen when they're supposed to happen. And when they happen, how do you handle it? How do you handle the adversity? How do you handle things that you're not fully aware of and sure of? Well, you do that by thinking outside the box. And when you think outside the box, you're able to discover more about yourself because you can handle the pressure. You can handle what you don't expect. You can handle what you don't understand because you're able to think and build common sense. Now, I remember I told my mom, I said, Mama, it can't be common if you never learned it. It can't be common if you never learned yourself, because in order to know what common sense is, you have to be willing to be taught who you are. Because it matters. It matters to learn. It matters to grow. It matters to develop, because as you're developing for yourself. And the reason why that's so challenging, the reason why that's so overwhelming is because how do you know you're doing the right thing when the right thing is right in front of you? Sometimes you just have to go around the block, around the corner. You have to go through different directions. You have to go through different potholes. You have to drive to figure out that the direction that you're on started back with yourself. So you have to go through the same adversity and challenges that you just experienced to know that you can be okay, that you are going to be okay, that you will be okay. In order to be okay, you have to know that you will be okay. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps and we was doing the obstacle course. We was doing the obstacle course. As we're doing the obstacle course, we had to stand watch. And by standing watch, I'm saying we had our rifles and we had to watch the area while our teammate, the person on our team, finished the course. And as they finished the course, now we have to sit on a knee. We have to sit on the knee on our foot. So imagine taking the knee, but you have to put your weight you have to put your weight on your heel. That hurts. I tried to explain it, but that literally hurts because all your weight is on your foot. And so as we was watching and the people was finishing the obstacles, it was challenging for me to stay there because I was getting bored. It was challenging me to stay there because my leg was hurt. It was challenging me to stay there because my foot was hurt. All my weight was going on there, and even though all my weight was going on there, it was hurt. You see, in life, when you put your weight, you see, in life, when you show up, you have to know that you're putting your weight on your challenge. You have to know that you're accepting the challenge because the challenge is going to make you a lot better. The challenge is going to make you thrive. The challenge is going to make you exceed. See, to handle adversity, you have to know that you don't know everything. To face a challenge, you can't know everything. But to become more and do it for yourself, you have to be willing to accept the challenge and go through adversity. You see, when you do it for yourself, you have to show up for yourself. Because it starts with you. And just because it starts with you, just know it doesn't end with you. Life shows you that when you start with yourself, you're able to help others around you. See, when you go through adversity, you're preparing to think critical. You're preparing to think outside the box. You're preparing to position yourself correctly. That will not only help you, but will position you correctly because it shows that you're on the right path. And so when you discover that you're on the right path, you have to identify the lessons that's here to help you learn. And as it's here to help you learn, what is it teaching you? What's the purpose of it? What's the goal of it? When you identify the lessons, you no longer are confused on the goal and the reason that you're doing things. Life is going to show you that when you do it for yourself, you have to start with yourself and be willing to go through the challenges. And if you got value from this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment on what is your biggest takeaway from this video, from this topic. And what is your opinion about it? I would love to engage in the conversation in the comments. Comment below. What is your biggest takeaway from showing up and how you're going to start showing up for yourself? Send this to a friend that's struggling with showing up, that's struggling with showing up for themselves, and say, hey, you're on the right path, and to continue to be on this right path, you have to look at this video because this video is going to show you that you are on the right path. Send this to them. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a review for the podcast. If you'll listen to this, leave a review for the podcast. If you waited to the end, leave a review for the podcast on your biggest takeaway on showing up for yourself. So I appreciate y'all, and then I'll see y'all next time.